Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to do this pre video before the video because I just got finished editing and doing this interview that was pretty intense for me. And so I realized that I should say something before I um, have you watch it, just to make sure that you understand it's a pretty intense video and it deals with some to trauma and things like of that nature. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a warning prior to watching this. And so it's a heavy interview, but it's so necessary. And just, Karen gave a lot of her time in this, but I just felt like it would be not okay if I didn't give a heads up on the content of this video. Now, I can't say a lot of things because YouTube will flag the video, but I think you understand what I'm saying here. So with that, um, please watch the video and um, that's it. I guess I can say right here. It just blew my mind. So with that, please let's move forward. I'm not even going to say enjoy it because it's just intense. But again, I appreciate everybody always showing up and watching and commenting and so anyway, let's move forward on this. Thanks.
My body is paying for the fact that I had
Yeah.
children before I was even out of puberty.
Oh
And
my
these
God.
kids are going to pay for things that they're doing to their body before they're even through puberty.
Hey everybody, I caught myself another one. So today we have a lot to talk about. I'm keeping the mic close to my mouth, and any of you who've been watching my lives know that I had some dental work and I'm missing some teeth until I get them back. So I'm a little embarrassed, but that's all right. And I want to just again thank everybody for joining me and my channel and watching all of these really I consider very important interviews. And I'm always trying to bring people who aren't given a platform to talk about these things that are happening, not only in our community, but I also think in the world. There's just a lot of weird stuff happening. And I think that we need to have debates and conversation in order to find that middle ground and we can all survive on this earth together. So with that, don't forget to please like and subscribe and do it really does help my channel a lot. The more people I have subscribing and it raises, the awareness out there. And I see it and I do appreciate it very much. So with that, I have a beautiful human being with me this afternoon, and her name is Karen. And I'm going to let Karen introduce herself and then we'll move forward with the interview. So, hey, Karen, nice to see you. Thanks so much for joining me. And please tell us about yourself and then we'll move on to the interview.
Okay, I am a middle aged cisgen white woman. I'm married. I've been married for almost 10 years now. I come from a very different background than the community, but I care like I've heard you say many times that gay men, meant a lot to you, and they meant a lot to me.
Mhm.
And I lost a lot of
Right.
friends, and I see what's going on, and it breaks my heart. It breaks
I
my
know.
heart in so many ways because I was married when I was 14,
Oh, wow.
and
Wow.
I was already pregnant, and this
At
was not.
14?
Oh yeah, I got pregnant 3 months after my 13th birthday,
Oh
and
my God.
I'm not the youngest person that I know that got pregnant
Mhm.
around me.
Mhm.
Um, but it was a different time. But
Yeah.
it wasn't like it was done right out in the open. I was married by, the county. They saw me standing there pregnant with a, man in his 20s, and nobody ever said one word. They just
But
let it
wait,
happen.
that is so I thought that was illegal in this country.
No, that is not illegal to this day.
I had no idea. Thank you for telling us that. I honestly didn't know that. So,
People,
wow.
it just depends on the state. Different
Oh,
states have different laws,
that's right.
and
That's right.
because my father was also an abuser,
Mhm.
and these men traveled in packs. This was before the day of internet.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
they traveled in packs, and so there was a lot of men around that I didn't trust. And the
Sure.
first the first man that I ever felt like I could trust was a gay man. And so it really hurts my heart to see what's happening.
Gosh,
So
wow, wow, that's first off, that's just rough being married and pregnant at 13 and 14. I can't
yeah,
even so on some level, your innocence was completely taken away from you.
yeah, well, like I said, my father was also an abuser. And in
Mhm,
the state that I lived in,
mhm.
if the parents signed off, there was nothing said. It just did. So I was signed over from one abuser to another, pretty
Oh
much.
my
You know what
god.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, I do, I hear you.
I
I
mean,
wow, I'm actually like, my mouth is yeah, wow. I mean,
I,
just wow. So tell
my
me a little bit about getting pregnant at that age and how you dealt with that as a young woman, a young girl, basically, not even a woman.
well, it terrified me.
Mhm,
It absolutely terrified me.
mm,
Um, because of the environment that I was in,
mhm.
drugs were a issue from 8, 10 years old. I was already doing drugs. By 12, I was on cocaine.
Oh my
It,
god.
it yeah, when I say I have no childhood, I had no childhood.
Wow.
And so when I got pregnant, I was terrified. I was
Yeah,
absolutely terrified that I was too young, that I was going to do something wrong, that it was going to hurt, I was going to hurt
mhm,
the baby. I
mhm,
didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I
mhm,
ate extra healthy. It just
mhm.
absolutely terrified. But she came out perfect. She's a
Aw,
she's perfect.
aw,
We don't have a very good relationship. I don't
mhm,
with either of my older girls. They blame
mm.
me. They don't blame their father, they blame me.
Wow,
And,
wow.
it is what it is.
It always seems to me like the mom, I have a kid and he's much more sort of rough with the mom with his mom than he is with me, right? So
Right.
I'm not sure if that's a thing that happens a lot, but I do see that. I see kids kind of be more angry at the mom than at the dad on some level, right?
Well, yeah, and I sent you a few pictures.
Mhm,
So you remember
mm,
that picture I
mm,
sent you with me with the girls on my
mm,
lap?
mhm.
Well, not long after that, I was raped at knife point. Yeah,
What? Wow.
that's why I said I needed to send you something because this is just so unbelievable that
I
this
know.
actually happens. And people are going crazy over what pronouns we're calling somebody and whether we want to medically transition children. And there's terrible abuse that you could be really fighting because these
That's right.
parents, I see a lot of parents, they love their children. They're
Mhm.
trying to do their best for
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
and these doctors are saying, do this, do this, do this, or these kids are going to end up dead. And so they're being led in the wrong direction.
That's right. I mean,
Even,
I'm very
you know,
outspoken about that, yeah.
yeah, even if, it's really
Well,
sad.
it's disgusting because that it's coming from higher up now. The medical associations are saying, like, that this is okay and that
Yeah,
children should be changing their sex at 10, and, so everybody thinks that doctors know everything, and that's just not true. Doctors practice medicine. They don't know medicine is ever changing, but we
yeah.
don't have enough studies, as you and I both know,
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
absolutely.
transition of a child.
Yeah.
Um
And plus, not that I regret having my children,
mhm,
I
mhm,
regret having them so young and not able to do the proper job as a mother that I
mhm.
should have.
That's right.
And when I look at my body, I
Mhm,
have the marks that remind me
mhm.
that, you know, and
Yeah,
those kids are in that same place. And
yeah.
another thing that I see that kind of translates with me is
Mhm,
where afterwards, it seems like if these kids decide they're going to detransition, it
mhm.
seems like they're just being dropped. Like not only socially, but by mental health
That's right,
personnel,
that's right.
by the health system altogether. And I can tell you, I didn't get help for the mental problems that I had, and
Right.
It led me down a road of destruction. And so, what are we setting these kids up for?
Thank you so much for saying that. It is
You know,
so important. Many people will see this, and many people will hear you. It's what I keep saying. Why are we bypassing mental health care for medicine? Like,
no,
for a physical thing that will change this physical. But what about the kid's brain?
right? Right.
And
And if you don't deal with that stuff and you stuff it down, it doesn't
that's
go
right.
away.
Nope.
You think that it's going away, and you end up self-medicating.
That's right.
You end up
That's right.
harming yourself and making bad decisions.
Thank you.
And when you've already made a decision that you end up regretting at
Mm,
such a young age, you
mm,
question your decision making from then on
mm,
without the proper help. It's taken me a long time to get where I am,
mm,
but without the proper help, you question everything, because if you could make a decision that changed your life
mm.
so much that didn't work out, how can you trust yourself to be making good decisions afterwards?
Oh my gosh, it's a very powerful statement, and you have a lot of experience in
Yeah.
this. So that's why what you're saying to me and to us right now is so profound on some level. So tell me, here you are at 14 and pregnant, and you have a kid. And so, are you going to school or?
No, no.
Mm,
I finished the eighth grade. I
okay.
finished the eighth grade at this point in life,
Mm.
and then 15 months after my first child was born, my second child was born.
Oh my gosh. So then, how old were you then? 15, 16?
16,
So
16 years.
16, you have your second child.
Yeah,
Same
same
partner?
man, same
Man?
man. Yeah.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
6 weeks after she was born, I left. I
So
ran
sick
from him.
because he was abusive towards you?
Hmm.
Tell me
Hmm.
what kind of abuse, if you could.
Mostly verbal. He seemed to adore the children, but it was like I wasn't a good enough wife. I didn't keep house good enough. I didn't know how to plan meals good enough. I was still a kid, and
That
he expected me to be an adult,
Oh my
even though
god.
I was a child. And yeah, so
Yes. So you leave, well, gosh, at least you had the kind of understanding to get out of
yeah.
that abuse, and then where did you go?
I went back to the town that I was from,
Mhm,
and of course, because of my father, I couldn't live there, so I ended
mhm,
up getting a little place,
mhm.
and that's not long after that, that's when I was raped.
By family members or
No,
friends or just
I was walking down the street. I lived in a rural area, and I was walking down the road, and I think the guy must have passed me and seen me because I was walking by some woods, and all of a sudden this guy was walking towards me. And
Mhm,
as he passed me,
mhm.
he come around and put a knife on me and said, "In the woods." And so he took my ID, and he
Mhm,
said, "If you tell anybody I
mhm,
have your ID, I'll come after you." I'm 17 at this point, just divorced,
mhm,
just left and divorced,
mhm.
terrified. And nobody, there's nobody. Yeah,
Right.
my grandmother was in my life, but at this point she was in her 90s. She
Mhm,
was,
mhm.
she was
Right.
much older when I came along. So there
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot that could be done, to help. So it was just me.
You just had to hold on to that, and did I ask you what happened? Where's your mother during all of this?
My mother was severely mentally ill.
Oh,
When I
no.
when I was 18, they laid her down, did electroshock therapy. Yeah, it was that bad. I think my fifth grade year, she tried to commit suicide 30 times. They put her in the hospital, and they used to have like drink machines in like
Mhm,
the day room,
mhm.
and she got a drink from the drink machine and pulled the tab out in the hospital and tried to kill herself again. So she
Wow.
she
Wow.
was she wasn't capable.
Yeah,
She
clearly.
was she wasn't capable of
Yeah.
taking care of me. My grandmother said, the grandmother I was talking about, my grandmother said I was the
Yeah.
only 3-year-old she knew that could climb across the cabinets to get my own food because nobody would get up and make anything. You had to take
Wow.
care of yourself from the beginning.
Wow. So yeah, that's your survival coming in.
Mhm.
I mean, God, this story is heartbreaking. I'm gonna start crying soon.
No, no.
I mean, my God, I can't believe a 3-year-old getting their own food. It's
Yeah,
just so. I mean, it's so sad that your mom, dealt with mental illness. Now, do
yeah, yeah.
you think on some level that she just wasn't, well, clearly, I think not maybe getting the help. Do you think if somehow she could have been diagnosed with something, it
She
would have been.
was, well, she
Mhm,
was. We
mhm.
were on, that's why I feel like kind of my abuse was almost state sanctioned because I was in the system from the time I
Right.
was born. My mother never worked a day. My father barely worked. If he did, it was under the table so he wouldn't lose his benefits.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
I was a check. I was
Yeah.
another check.
Wow.
That's it. And I was
Wow.
his his object until I aged out,
Oh God.
and then I was abandoned on
Yeah.
my own. And that's another point that I have to make, and that's
Mhm.
the Jeffrey Marsh. I
Okay.
have to
Thank you.
speak to
Mhm.
Jeffrey Marsh, and
Okay.
this, and even if I'm not saying that he has or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not
No,
good
no.
at this
No, 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 you're doing
industry.
my friend, Karen, you're doing fantastic, and you're
But
sharing something that is so profound, and I can't I just wanna thank you because somebody will hear this, and so don't worry about anything here. This is a space that people come to hear these
yeah,
kinds of things, so we appreciate you a lot. So, I'm sorry, go forward with the Jeffrey
but
situation.
they say that that they're doing this thing on the Patreon. You can come talk to me by
Mhm,
yourself. Your
mhm,
parents don't have to know. By the way, on Patreon, you can
mhm.
turn the age down to 13. You don't have to be 18. Go on Patreon. You can look it up yourself.
Oh my
It's
god.
there.
Oh my god.
Um, and he says that he's not doing anything nefarious.
Yeah,
And I'm going to say I don't know the man. Maybe he's not. I don't know, but
yeah,
he's making a precedence. What
that's
about
right.
those kids that don't have the money to call or get on Patreon with him? And the guy next door says, "Oh, I know you're having a hard time at home. My door's always open. You can come hang out here." How
Mhm.
many times did I hear that as a child? He's op-
Wow.
he's opening that door.
Wow. You hear
I'm
that,
not.
everybody? So
I'm
so
not.
this is you have actual experience with this. This is why what you're
Yes,
doing is actually
that's
important.
that. It's why I felt I had to say something.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you reached out to me because, people like myself who didn't experience this stuff that you did,
Mhm.
can say these things because we might think this, but you have actual real lived experience with this, and you see the actual, sort of, what sort of you see the way this works because it
Yeah,
happened to you.
yeah.
Exactly the words. So tell me a little bit about how he talks and his sort of demeanor.
With the Jeffrey Marsh thing,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, the Jeffrey Marsh
well,
thing.
it's the thing that you don't have to tell your parents. It's okay. Come talk to me in private. We
Mhm.
can talk about things that your parents don't need to know. I mean, that's
Wow.
classic. I'm
That's right.
sorry. I mean, the man that impregnated me at
Mhm.
3 months past my 13th birthday started when I was 12. So it starts with, can I, my door's always open. If you're having a hard time, just come by and you can hang out here. You can talk to me about things. I won't tell anybody. It's your, and then it ratchets. You become comfortable and you're vulnerable,
That's right.
and so they take advantage of that.
That's right. So you were 12 and that's when you started doing cocaine. So now
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing that and then you have these weirdos saying, if you're not comfortable at home. And also don't you think that they can see kids like you who are,
Oh, yeah.
not in a great
Absolutely.
home environment, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a terrible home environment. It
Okay.
just has to be a rift
I
between the
see.
parent and kid. When a
I
parent,
see.
like say this kid is pushing back, or the parents pushing back about a kid being trans and saying,
Mhm,
"Hey, let's go get some counseling."
mhm.
Not completely closed off, but saying, "Let's just make sure. Let's go get some counseling." And
Mhm.
they're hearing online, "Oh, that's bad. That's bad." And then you've got this guy going, "But come talk to me.
Right.
You can talk to me and I'll understand, and I won't tell your parents."
Oh,
And
I see.
whether he is, or they are doing that nefariously, they're setting up a precedent so somebody can, especially to these kids that are vulnerable. Not every kid can get a hold of mom and dad's credit card and just swipe it and go into his Patreon or
Mhm,
whatever,
mhm,
you know? And so
mhm.
they end up vulnerable to real people.
I see what you're saying. That's the sort of, what I guess is called that's actual classic.
I
So
mean,
I see what you're saying. He can set the stage. He
yeah,
can
I
set
mean,
the
he don't
stage.
even have to be like, he may in his heart, I don't know. He may be like, I really think I'm helping a kid, but what he's doing, or they are doing, is setting up, making it easier for somebody
That's
else
right.
to use that to get in.
That's right. Setting the stage. I hear you. That's actually really
I
scary.
mean,
And wow. So, and again, people, this person here has experience. They're not
and
just saying this.
this kind of stuff happens with straight, gay,
Of course.
bi,
Yeah.
women,
Yep.
men,
Yep.
black, white. It happens with everybody. I don't care where you fall in between.
Mhm,
This happens.
mhm.
And any kid can be vulnerable. Any kid.
That's right. I do
Um,
believe that. Yes.
it only takes the right situation. And like I said,
Gosh,
it don't have to be a terrible home environment. It just has to be a rift where somebody can get in and say, "But I'm here. You can talk to me. You can come see me."
that's right. Wow, gives me the chills. It's just
Yeah,
so the internet is disgusting.
it
I didn't
is.
grow up with the internet. I don't think you did either, right?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't. And
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. Back now, you know,
Mm.
I don't know what to call these men. These men that do these terrible things,
Yeah,
they do it online. They
that's right.
bunch together online. In my days, they bunched together
Outside in the real world.
because it was like in my life, there was only a few type of men. Ones that were abusing me,
Mhm,
relatives that I saw very rarely,
mhm.
or men in the neighborhood that weren't diddling with little girls and they didn't pay me no attention. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so my oldest daughter is named after a gay man, because he
Mm,
was the first person that, I felt like I could trust as a man.
mhm. Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but
No, it isn't. It makes complete total sense to me because, of course, your experience with men is horrifying. So
yeah.
now you're just never going to be
And
trusting of them.
and he didn't want to try to mess with me.
That's right.
He didn't. And and they say that things are bad now. And he was kicked out of his home, like a lot of guys were back
Yep.
then.
Yep.
And in 1989, his little sister got married in a small town,
Mhm,
southern town,
mhm.
and her husband didn't want to be associated with a gay man, and so
Wow.
he hunted him down. Yeah, and that's why.
Wait a
Yeah, his
minute.
yeah his funeral was about 6 months before my daughter was born.
Oh my
I,
gosh.
that's that's why I have to do this. I have to do this.
So, oh gosh. So your friend had to leave to another your gay male friend had to go to another
No,
place.
he stayed in town.
He
He
stayed in
ended
town.
up staying in the small town.
I
And
see.
so when they married,
I see.
he didn't want to be associated with that gay man. And so
Wow.
he went over and found him. Yeah,
And killed him.
yeah, killed him, shot him.
So did what happened after that? Did the guy go to jail or
Well, at first, they thought they put his brother in jail, actually, at first, but it come out in
wow.
the end that that's what it was all over. And yeah, he went to jail, but I know it wasn't for like life or nothing. They
He
don't
got
give.
out of jail after
Oh
killing
yeah,
some
oh
Oh
yeah,
my god. This is
oh
complete
yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
look, this is all stuff. I mean, I can give you a few names and dates, and you can go look all of this stuff up.
Oh, I'm
You
not
know what I'm
questioning you.
saying?
I'm not questioning you.
It seems
Uh,
unreal. It really does. It
On
seems
some level,
unreal.
yeah, but on some
But
level, no. I've been in the community for a long time and lost many friends to AIDS and watched people get slaughtered because they didn't like that they were gay. I live West Hollywood, so no, I 100% know
yeah,
this crap is
but
true.
but all of it together. You just don't think that one person can have all of those experiences
No, I'm just
when
like
they even
shocked. No,
hit
I know,
16
like
years old.
my God, oh my
Yeah.
God. So now you're oh gosh, let's see. You have so much going on here. And now okay, so now you move, you got your second
I'm
child, you
s-
leave your husband and move to this
and I
space
and
and
I get raped,
get
and
raped.
he has my address, and I'm alone. Yeah, he took my ID and
Oh my God.
said if you tell anybody. And actually, I told you I lived in the same town where my father still lived.
Yeah.
And so when I did call the police and he
Mhm,
saw the police in the neighborhood,
mhm.
he come up and the police ended up asking me if he was the one that did it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was, I mean, he was I don't know, I guess he gave off that vibe of,
Maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, they did.
Horrifying. Horrifying. So now let's move a little
So,
forward. God,
yeah,
that is just I am so blown away by
yeah,
this story.
yeah.
Now
So,
you're so you know what you get are you now you're getting it are you on drugs and alcohol at this
oh
age?
yeah, on
Mhm,
drugs and alcohol.
mhm.
I am at a terrible point.
And what's
At a
happening with the
terrible.
kids?
Uh, I actually, not long after that picture and after the rape, I decided that they needed to be raised by someone else. That I
Mhm,
wasn't
mhm,
ready to raise them,
mhm.
and their father would not give up parental rights, and
Wow.
he had. This is going to shock you too. He had ended up. I caught him with my sister. And so they spent 18 years together and raised my children.
Wow. So they went to your ex with your sister and they
Yeah,
raised so did you
my
have a
half
relation
sister,
or half
half
sister?
sister. Yeah,
Did you have a relationship with them during the time of them raising the children?
no, no,
None. So the
no.
children just went away,
Yep.
and to this day, you
Because
have
I've tried to have a relationship with them, and you've
mhm,
seen pictures of them
mhm,
older.
mhm,
I
mhm,
have tried to, but they blame me.
of
Um,
course. Yeah.
the their paternal grandmother was in the picture.
Mhm.
She's a really big influence, and thank God that she is because
Sure.
they turned out great. I
Mhm,
mean, a college degree,
mhm,
you know, the things that you would want for your kids. So,
mhm. Sure.
but
Right.
but she also has told them that I seduced my first husband, that it is all my fault, that I am the one to blame, and and they all live like on a compound kind of thing. And so
Okay.
if I want to see my kids, I also have to see, even to this day, as adults, they won't come like see me. I have
Mhm,
to see my ex-husband
mhm.
and my mother-in-law and the whole like plan of them if I want to go see anybody. So
God.
it's still a very stressed relationship. That's one
Yeah.
reason for all of this. If it was
Of
just
course.
me, if it was just me, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't
Yeah.
care about
Yeah.
putting my face out there. I don't want anybody to come after my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
whether they have a relationship with me or not, they're always going to be my children, and I'm always going to
Oh,
be protective of them.
of
You
course.
know,
You're a mother. You never lose that connection with your child ever,
no,
ever.
and I really when I gave them up, I really wanted more for them, and I
Yeah.
knew I couldn't give them that.
That's right. That's love. That's actual
You
real
know,
love. You cared enough to understand you were not in a
and I
position.
thought going in and out of their life with
Mhm.
drug addiction,
Right.
homelessness, and
Right.
everything else was worse than just not being there.
Well,
So
I think you made the right
I
choice.
just stepped out, and I would I'd hear about things, and I would
Mhm.
see I'd see my ex husband or my half sister every once in a while.
Mhm.
Um, and they would say everything was going great,
Mhm.
but you
Mhm.
come to find out things weren't so peachy.
Right.
So
Right. Of course. Yeah. So how old are the kids now? They're adults.
I am 47.
Okay.
My oldest daughter is 32.
Okay.
My second daughter is 30.
Okay.
And then I had a second marriage, and I have a
Mhm.
daughter that is 20. She'll be 24 in a
And
couple
how
of
do you have a
days.
relationship with that daughter?
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. That's great news.
Yeah.
And how are the kids doing? That you said that they graduated from school?
Um, Now my oldest didn't go to college.
Okay.
She actually became a teen mother herself, but
Okay.
she finished high school and she has a
Great.
small business and she's
Great.
doing pretty good for herself.
Great. Great.
My middle daughter, she graduated in 2018 with a bachelor's in criminal
Ex-
justice.
Excellent.
She wanted to get into the juvenile justice system until show kids that they don't have to be what
Yeah.
they come from.
Yeah.
You
True.
can be more than that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Great. Great.
yep,
Wow, that's just I'm gonna say though that I really think you're a great mom for understanding the importance of not being able to raise your child. It's a very difficult choice to make, and
it is.
really, it is. There's no doubt about that. 100%. I didn't have a kid, but I adopted a kid, and I could just even imagine that situation and having to give your kid up. But that says a lot about you. Even you're on drugs and alcohol, and you just knew that you were not going to make these kids have a great life. So I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone ever tells you that, but I'm going to tell you you're a
Even
great mom.
well, I was never their mom. I was their mother.
Okay. Okay,
But
that's fair. Okay.
I wasn't there for the day to day, and I have to admit that. And like I told you, I take a lot of blame on myself.
I
And
see that, but you
even my
can't. You can't. You were
even
a kid.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These kids are going to do the same thing if somebody doesn't stop. Somebody
So
has to stop this. I
I gr
mean, it's
I mean, I'm just shocked that we're not looking at it this way, right? Like, you just lead these kids down this path of on some level, lies. When you tell a
it
child they can
is.
change their sex, you're lying to them.
It is absolute lies that
It's crazy.
you can go on hormone blockers at 11 years old and at 25 change your mind and just go. I've I've watched too many of these kids sit here, and they're kids to me, like you.
Yeah,
They're kids to me,
that's
and
right.
and they sit there and go, "I think I've gone too far. I can't come back." That breaks
Unbelievable.
my heart. I
Of
mean, it
course, it
breaks
should.
my
It should break
heart.
it should
It
break
should.
everybody. Who are the people that are I mean, you don't have a heart out there if you don't see these young people who
There,
are told they could do this and then did irreversible surgeries, right? Like Like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to go back to look like a woman. I'm a biological female. I'm never going to look that way. I'm never going to be able to get back that, but I choose that as a 30-year-old, right? I'm 60 now. That being said, when you do that to a 17-year-old and then the 17 gets to be 22 and says, what? And then
Or,
we're all just like, it's your fault.
or 15.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
15. And
yeah.
it's already going that way.
Oh,
As
sure it
soon as
is.
somebody detransition, everything's off the table. It doesn't seem to me, looking from the outside, from what I'm seeing, that
Yep.
there's any support.
There
There's
isn't.
no support.
None.
And what if you don't have the money to go out and get a counselor? What do you do then?
That's right.
The
Well,
state's willing to pay to cut a girl's breast off at 15 years old,
that's right.
but they just drop them if they decide that that's not what they wanted.
I know. It's shocking. But the first thing that should be done is mental health care, and they're bypassing that.
Absolutely.
They're literally
Absolutely.
bypassing mental health care for physical, surgery or medication, which I mean, more people are starting to wake up, my friend. They are starting to see this
I
as
hope
it's a
so. I hope
scam.
so. I hope so because the mental illness plays so much into everything,
That's right.
and
That's right.
I hear a lot of these girls that transitioned and then have detransitioned back, and a lot of
Mhm.
times there's some form of abuse,
That's right. Yep.
and
Trauma. Yep.
or they felt objectified.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and let me tell every little girl out there right now, if somebody has touched you that you didn't want to, that's not your fault.
Thank
It's
you.
not your body's fault. And cutting off pieces of your body is not going to change that. You
Wow.
take yourself with you wherever you go. And no matter how much you change the outside, you still have to deal with what's inside.
Wow, it's very powerful coming from somebody like you who's had to deal with so much since like you were 3, climbing over the table, getting your own food. And
I was in the first wedding ever held in a jail. I mean, in a prison, excuse me, in a prison in the
oh my,
state that I live in.
wow, that is so.
I
So
mean,
did
it
you
was
spend
just
time?
always.
Did you spend time incarcerated?
I spent time in jail. I have
Mhm.
never been to prison myself.
Okay. Okay.
Um, after after the second or the first marriage ended, and
Mhm.
the children went to live with my first
Mhm.
husband,
Mhm.
and I kind of went on my own for a few years. Experimented a lot with
Mhm.
sex. What happened to that? Why do we have to be in a
Right.
lane all of a sudden?
I
I
know. It's
consider
crazy.
myself straight, but that doesn't mean that I've not had sex in other ways when
Sure.
I was figuring
Sure.
things out, you know,
Yeah, which is normal. That's totally
and
normal.
and because of my abuse, I was more comfortable with other women,
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
bisexual men,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
I experimented a lot with that side of things.
Mhm.
And then I married a second time,
Okay.
and that marriage lasted almost 10 years.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great.
Um,
That's great.
and we had a daughter, and
Mhm.
I also went back and got my GED, and I went to
Ah,
college. I I
congratulations.
got a small associate's degree, but from where I'm
Fantastic.
from, that's huge from what I come from, you know.
Yeah, friend.
So
It's a big deal.
so yeah, I got a little degree because I felt like
Great.
I couldn't ask my daughter
Mhm.
to work hard and go to school if I didn't even have an education myself.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was very important to me because you have to lead by example.
True.
And that's another thing. What are
Yeah.
these people setting? What kind of example are they setting by doing some of the things that they're doing with the hate
I
speech
know.
towards
Yep.
anybody
Yep.
that doesn't agree with them?
Yep.
I After my second marriage, I actually had a cosmetic arts degree,
Mhm.
and so I did hair, and I
Mhm.
did hair in heels, and so I had problems with my back.
Mhm.
I went to a
Okay.
doctor
Mhm.
during the great. opiate epidemic.
Oh God.
And
Uh-oh.
yeah, and so I became a heroin addict.
You
I
started with Oxy? Did they prescribe you Oxy?
I didn't even have oxy. I had regular or Percocets, but they were prescribing like the 30s with no Tylenol, so you could
Wow.
snort them all
Oh
day.
God. Oh my
I
God.
mean, I'm being perfectly honest. I don't want to
Yeah.
leave anything out. I don't want to act like
No.
I'm hiding anything. So,
Wow.
and then they came into the small town that I lived in, and they told the doctor, you either retire and close down, or we'll put you in jail. And so he was closed within a week. He was boarded up and closed, and nothing was done for the people that were going there. And so a lot of people ended
What?
up on heroin. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So there's a clinic that you go to, a pain clinic, and you
No,
go there.
it wasn't even a pain clinic. This was a doctor.
Doctor.
This was a doctor, and he $65 an appointment, and he would write you pretty much what you wanted. We got around 400, 500 Percocets plus Xanax
Oh my
every
God.
month, every month. And all you did is pay $65.
Oh my God.
So when he closed up, people were sick, and so people went to heroin.
This is so insane.
You
So
saw you saw the picture of me. I look like
I did.
somebody you would step over in the street.
That's right.
I
I
mean,
saw.
really.
No, I know. I saw it. I know.
Yeah.
It's
And
incredible that you're the same person.
yeah, yeah.
How old were you when this started to happen? Or roughly, like, so you're with
I
your second
am.
husband, and you're cutting hair, doing that, and then you
Yeah.
messed up your back, and you start going to this pain clinic. Are you like in
I
your
was
30s?
about 30,
Okay, 30. Yeah.
30,
Hmm.
yeah, 32,
Hmm.
33. And then I
Hmm.
was on pills for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I was on everything. I mean,
Everything.
it wasn't heroin was like the main thing, but I would
Right.
do whatever came by.
Right.
I I had not dealt with my mental health
Hmm.
in all this time. I'm still not dealing with anything that's happened with me.
Wow.
I am just shoving it down. I'm
Hmm.
self medicating,
Hmm.
and I am killing myself. I OD probably 100 times.
Oh
I
my
have
God.
I have been in the hospital for overdose 25 times at least. I have woken up with my chest hurting from them doing compressions. I've woken up completely intubated. Yeah. And so I'm lucky to have made it out alive.
It's true.
I got out just before the new trank
Oh,
came in.
that stuff.
They're cutting off limbs left and right out here on the East Coast. Left
You
and
are
right. You
kidding me.
Oh no, because it is a horse tranquilizer that they're putting
Yep,
in, and
that's
so
right.
when they shoot it into their skin or into their vein, it causes necrosis
Oh
under
my
the skin.
God.
So you rot from the inside out until you have such big sores that they amputate,
Oh
and
my.
that's happening on a regular
So
basis.
what is that stuff? So it's called trink.
They call it trank. It's xylazine is the name of the drug, and it is a horse tranquilizer.
It's a horse. How do they sell it? Do they sell it like as a heroin or an upper or a down? They just call it
It's
that.
trank. It's
That's
called
just what.
trank.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow. Wow.
you go onto the internet and
Right.
look up
Yeah.
Kensington. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you'll see people out there with the sores.
No, it's coming out
It's
here.
everywhere.
It's here in Los Angeles too.
It's everywhere.
They're already talking about it, and you can, how does it? Is that the stuff that's like they're calling out here the zombie drug? Like
Oh,
there's,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure they like
yeah,
fall over and like,
yep, yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah, that's the stuff. Yeah.
How sad.
And
What are we
and
doing?
and so when you overdose on it, the Narcan that was working for the opiates
Mhm.
don't work on
Doesn't
this.
work.
No,
How
it
do you
doesn't work for
how do
them.
you get out of the OD? You
You
can't.
don't.
Oh my
You
god.
don't.
Oh my
You
god.
don't.
That's gonna turn into like a massive epidemic of dead people.
Now you replace the same scenario. The lobbyists, the people that sell the drug, the doctors getting paid to prescribe it, and you put in testosterone and you put in puberty blockers. And now a kid's on this stuff, and then they say, "Oh, I changed my mind. I don't
That's
think
right.
this is for me," and
Mhm.
they drop them.
Yep.
It's the
That's
same
right.
thing. And so
Same
you've got just
Wow.
broken people coming out the other end. And
Wow.
unless somebody gets in front of it, I'm
You're
afraid.
right. No, no.
I'm
Oh my
afraid
god.
for what's going to happen.
Oh
That's
my
why
god.
these people are saying there's a genocide now. What's going to happen in 10 years if we
That's right.
continue this?
That's right. And
We
there is
live,
no genocide.
me and you lived through
That's right.
AIDS.
That's right.
We lived through AIDS. We saw what that did
That's
to the
right.
community. Can you
Mm.
imagine what this is going to do? This is state sanctioned. They were trying to fight back then, not fight the disease, but fight having anything to do with it. So they let it just go, and now it's just like I'm just
Well,
so
no, you've walked the path as I have of drug addiction, and we see lots. So we can't forget the oxy epidemic.
yeah.
It's the same bullshit that it's
It
the same
is.
big pharma people, big
Big
pharma.
pharma.
It,
Look, there is somebody making money off of it, and
that's right, friend.
if they
Oh,
weren't, they wouldn't be doing it. They
that's
wouldn't.
exactly.
They
There
wouldn't
you
have
go.
lobbyists
That's right. We wouldn't have lobbyists.
fighting for it.
Oh my god.
Where
Oh
does
my
that
god.
money? Where does that money come from? That money comes from you putting it in their pockets
That's right.
by
That's right.
having kids on this stuff.
Do you know how much those? I just spoke to a mother of a child who has actual precocious puberty, right? So that's when puberty is ahead
Yeah,
of what you're supposed to.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
she did give her daughter the medication
yeah.
because the daughter actually had a diagnosis.
Needed it.
She had
She needed it.
yeah, she's 9 years old and like has boobs and
Mhm.
looking like a 20-year-old, right? So,
Yeah,
slow that stuff down. It's not
yeah.
comfortable. But anyway, that being said, you know how much that implant for that puberty blocker was? It's going to blow your mind right now.
Uh, oh
$50,000.
yeah.
One.
That doesn't surprise me.
So
That really does not
there you go.
surprise me.
And that's the same drug we're saying is suppressing puberty for trans kids, which is a completely fake thing. And so now
Yeah,
there's that $50,000 times how many trans kids are there?
right.
It's unbelievable.
When I was really little, going through all the stuff that I was going through,
Yeah.
I remember telling my grandmother that I wanted to be a boy. I
That's
remember this, and
yeah,
she said,
yeah.
"If you could kiss your own elbow, you'll turn into a boy." So I was running around trying to kiss my own elbow. Would they have made me? Would they have
Wow.
would they have turned me? Because I would not have been happy as a
That's
man,
right. No,
you
that's right.
know?
That's right. Oh my
And it
god.
seems like that's all it takes.
Oh, no, it just takes you saying, "I feel like
And
a boy." I said that when I was a kid. My parents were like, "Okay, here, dude, put on a hat and some jeans and a white T-shirt, and you're a dude." Like, you know what I mean? Like, my parents were super cool about me looking like a boy. We had called it a tomboy. I was a total tomboy. I
yeah,
lived as a woman for a lot of my life, which I'll be honest with you, I did struggle a little bit, but it wasn't. I had a great fun time being a lesbian and doing crazy stuff and doing all the. I was not crazy. I wasn't like hardcore on
yeah.
I was on drugs, but I wasn't anywhere near what you
No,
were doing.
no, no.
But that being said, I did live through it, and I did live
Yeah,
through puberty, and
yeah.
look at me now. I think
And
that is very important. Yeah,
that age is uncomfortable anyways. I
of
don't care
course.
who you are, and I don't care what experience you've had, but I can tell you this, even the best parent, sometimes a kid that has been touched doesn't feel comfortable talking about it right away. And it
Yeah,
may come out
yeah,
as I'm trying to be a boy, or I'm trying to be a girl, or I want to do these things because they can't articulate what's happening.
That's
Now, I'm
right.
not saying that's every case. By no
No.
means, I'm not. But
Yeah,
I'm just
I know.
saying there are many reasons that
Yeah.
a kid could be acting as another. When you're a kid, my daughter that I raised, when she was 5, one week she wanted to be Fiona, one week she wanted to be Shrek, one week she wanted to be Clifford the Big Red Dog. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
You know, I
They're
just
not letting
can't.
kids be kids. No, they're not letting kids be kids now. They're letting kids. They're and the adults are making the choices for these kids. The kids aren't making the choice. It's like
Absolutely.
you ask a kid if they want to be Mickey Mouse. They're going to be like, okay. It's the same thing. The parents saying, "Well, I asked my child, do you want?" Like, of course, your child is going to say, "Yeah," but you have
How can I?
no idea the consequences.
How can an 8, 9-year-old
Can't,
know
can't.
what they're
Nope,
gonna want for the rest of their life? There's no
nope,
way, because who you are
nope.
at 9 is not who you are at 19, and not who you are at
That's right.
29, and not who you are at 39, because life experience makes you who you are,
That's
and you have none. And you
that's
have none at that age to make that
true.
kind of
That's right.
decision.
It's
And
incredible that we're It's
you
it's
know, like
mind
for
blowing.
you, for you, I know that it was something you needed to do as an adult. You needed to do that.
That's right.
But when you're
That's right.
doing it to a kid that can't make that decision fully, I'm sorry. For
Yeah.
me, that's
On
what it
some
is.
level it is.
For
Yeah.
you, for an adult,
Yeah.
I think it could be absolutely needed. But if you don't
That's
have
right.
the wherewithal to make that decision and somebody else does it to you,
That's right.
you know,
You
that's
know,
that's my
I'm gonna
problem
say
with it.
well, my problem too. We're on the same path there. I remember when I was working with this intersex organization, and one of the things we were trying to do was stop surgeries on young babies who are intersex, because
Yeah,
if they're born with both genitals or da 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 da,
yeah,
they would just operate and say, well, it's easier if we just make
and
them into a girl or a boy.
and
Well, that
and
became
look how
something
they
very
messed that
controversial.
up. They
That's
messed
right.
that
And so
up.
I remember, like, we used to fight to say, wait a minute, these kids can't, they're not making the choice, the
No,
adults and the doctor. So
yeah,
we actually helped, to sort of stop and slow that down to where we realized that is actually a form of, abuse on some level. So I can lay that over on top of what you're doing to trans kids who these kids are not even being evaluated for dysphoria. They're just being
they're
put
not
into a medical
having they're
space with
not
no
having a
evaluation.
they're not having a good hour of counseling before they're given drugs in a lot of
That's
cases.
right.
I mean, what are we talking
That's
about?
right.
I mean,
I don't know, it's insane.
what are
It's
it is
insane.
it's absolutely insane. Insane.
Yep, 100%. I
And we are
so
setting a whole generation up to fail if we don't
that's right.
intervene and at
That's right.
least get the
Mhm.
mental help that these kids need before and after and during transition or
But we're
detransition.
not. We're not.
No.
And we're
And
not. We're not even giving these we're just
the medical shouldn't
so
come in. It
frustrating.
shouldn't come in. I think that if my 24-year-old daughter came to me and said, I feel like I have to do this, I would support her
Mhm,
100%. If she came
mhm,
to me at
mhm,
12, I would say, hey, let's go get
mhm,
some new clothes. Let's go get your hair cut. I'll call you by a different name, but we're going to go see a
mhm.
therapist. And that way,
That's
when
right.
you turn 18, you can make the decision for yourself. What is
Right on.
wrong with
That's the
that?
healthy way to do it.
I
Well,
have
they're
been
being told here's the but I feel bad for some of the parents, because I think there's some parents that are a little bit nutty, but I think that there's some
oh,
parents
yeah,
who are following the doctor's orders, right? And I think that they
absolutely,
don't realize, they think they're doing the right thing because the medical
absolutely,
world is saying, if you don't do this, blah, 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 this bullshit.
absolutely,
And so
absolutely.
that's right. But I think the problem is that there's a lot of misinformation being spread out there, and also that we have this idea that, this is going to save a child's life. But that's not true. That's an opinion or a theory. That is not fact, right?
How do you
I
know
made it
that?
through.
How do you
That's
know
right.
that without sitting them down in front of a counselor and
That's
having
right.
more than a 15-minute conversation?
Unbelievable.
I mean,
You
how do you know?
can't. You don't. They're making assumptions. They're making shit up. Every other country in
Absolutely.
the world has stopped. Every country in the world has stopped, while the United
And
States
that
has ramped it up.
the United States and Canada, isn't Canada doing
In
this stuff
Canada.
too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, and
Yep.
that's
Yep.
pretty much it. Yeah.
Money,
And
right?
it
Money.
is. It is money.
I
That is all it is. It
100%.
is money,
Yep.
and they don't care how many people they break because they spread the same lies, kind of the same kind of lies when they did the
That's
opiate
right.
epidemic because
That's right.
they come out and said, yeah, only so many, only like 1 or 2% of people get addicted if they're prescribed and they use it the right
Wow.
way. And
Yep.
and
Yep.
if they're using too much of it, it's because you're not prescribing enough to control their pain, knowing that it was addictive. Now,
That's right.
does that not sound like the same kind of thing as you can take these puberty blockers and it'll just pause things, and then you can go off of them and everything will be fine and dandy? Is
Unbelievable.
it not the same kind of thing?
Yeah. It is 100% the same. Exactly the same
And
lying
we
bullshit.
see and look, and you can go to any of the big cities, San
Mhm.
Francisco, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and step over people that are the result of that lie.
That's right.
What are
Yeah.
we doing?
Here in
What are
Los
we doing?
Angeles too. It's insane. Like literally all across the streets, Hollywood, Sunset is packed with people slung out, laying on the sidewalk naked, like just out of
Yeah,
their minds. And
yeah,
everyone just walks over them, and we're not even looking at parallels. Big pharma is the devil. It's the
it
devil.
is. It
And
is.
everyone just acts like, no, we're going to save these children. Nope, you are not saving any child. You
Yeah,
are abusing children. So
yeah.
now we have a huge detransitioner movement, and the trans community hides it, right? They
Yeah,
pretend like it's not
do
happening.
not, you don't hear about this, but I can
That's right.
tell you recently my husband went to work and he works
Mm,
in a factory,
mhm.
and he said people that have not ever talked about anything political, when
Mm.
they heard about that, we're here, we're queer, we're coming
Oh,
for your children,
oh,
they were talking about that. People
great.
that don't even look at this stuff is
That's right.
starting to look at it. I
Because
mean,
they're going after the kids.
that's it. That's
That's
it
right.
because it went just a little bit mainstream. Because like NBC had a blurb about it. You know how it had always been that way. I'm
Not true.
sorry.
Not
I've been
true.
to a pride event. I have
Yep.
never heard that.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
Ever. It used to be an adult thing.
That's right.
Kids didn't
Remember?
go to it.
No, I mean, I'll be honest with you. We used to have like pride parades, and you could see people bring their kids, but it was not like full of crazy
Yeah.
people slinging
And
their wieners around.
I'm sorry. If
Yeah.
you feel comfortable slinging your junk in front of a 4-year-old,
No, it's so
there
wrong.
is something wrong. I'm
It's so
sorry.
wrong.
I
It's
don't
wrong.
care if you are. I don't care where you're from, what your
That's
biology
right.
is. I don't
That's right.
care. If you are slinging your naked junk, male, female, in between, I don't care what kind of junk it is. If you're slinging it at a 4-year-old, that's
That's
just
right.
how
And you
can you
have
feel
experience,
comfortable
friend,
about
and
that?
and you remember who this woman is here. She has experience as a young person dealing with a lot of trauma and a lot of sexual trauma,
Yeah,
and you have a perspective that is extremely important to hear, because
yeah.
people will be like, "Oh, that's normal." Look, first off, it's not necessarily
It
normal,
is
and it
not.
scares children. It scares kids when things like that are happening. They
But
don't know
but
what that is.
but they're normalizing.
They're trying to.
They're normalizing men being able to say, hey, come talk to me.
I know. I
Hey.
know.
And it's not only
Barf.
men, it was men for me. But it's
Yeah.
not only men, it
Yeah.
happens across the
Of
board.
course so.
But they
Of
are
course.
making it normal for an adult to have
Yeah.
that kind of relationship with a child that is not their family, not
It's gross. There's no, 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 no,
you
no,
see
no.
what I'm saying? It's
Yes,
they're
of course.
normalizing it.
You know, you have to understand, I'm a 61-year-old person who's been in the LGBT community for many, many years. And I remember
Mhm.
back in the day, they were trying to normalize. It was called NAMBLA, National Association of Man Boy Love.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah, yeah.
freaked. We're freaked. We were like, get away from us. Like, already people think we're a bunch of perverted
And
weirdos,
now
right?
and now the maps are
That's right.
trying to
It's the
attach
same thing.
themselves to
That's
you,
right. It's the
you know?
same thing. That's right.
What's unfortunate in
Yep.
the the straight world where people don't have a lot of gay friends, where
Yep.
you had one people where they had come to the point where we don't agree with you,
That's right.
but you do you and we'll
That's
do
right.
us. Now they are starting to go, whoa, 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 whoa. You
That's
won't
right.
bring them people back. You won't bring them back. And now
All
they're and now they're going to look at the whole. It's just like the white supremacy right now.
hmm
They're
hmm
going to group everybody together.
That's right.
So whether you
That's right.
are not having anything to do with this BS going on, you're going to
That's
be
right.
grouped right in with it.
That's 100%. You're so right, and that's what's happening, and that everyone's being grouped into things or said their
Yeah.
thing. So now all the rights we fought for, and I lived a great life. Trust me, friend. I Nobody bothers me because I'm
I
trans.
mean,
Nobody cares. Everybody was super cool. Now that it's back, you're exactly right. They're going
and
backwards.
they're passing like in one state they'll pass a law in Michigan. They just passed a law
Yep,
that makes it a felony,
that's right.
5 years imprisonment, $10,000 fine for
Wow.
misgendering somebody. I didn't face that for heroin. I have been charged with heroin possession. I didn't face that long for that.
Wow. That is profound.
Just saying. But then on the other
Wow.
hand, you have a place like Florida saying you can only go to the bathroom of your gender.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry, but
No.
I love you, but I don't want to meet you in the
Can you
bathroom.
imagine if I used the woman's
You
room?
know,
People would
and you
lose their
and you
shit.
and you think about somebody. I mean, I'm going to say shapeshifter because she's put her story out there.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
think
That's right.
about somebody like that.
Yep.
Would
That's
you
right.
make them go to the boys' room, the men's room?
No, and now he has to
You
identify
know,
as he, and he looks like a
that's.
she.
I mean,
Uh,
what in the
it's just
hell?
damaging. Well, I mean, the only way we're going to get through this, Karen, is by these conversations. And the only way we're going to actually wake up the world is by having, then that's why, this is important for me to have people like you come here and say and be so honest and really just very vulnerable and honest about your story, which is heartbreaking on so many
Yeah,
levels. But look at you today. You are
I'm I'm
functioning. You
I'm
seem
working on
amazing.
it. I'm working on it.
You seem amazing. I'm not
I
kidding.
I am completely against big pharma. I do talk therapy and
Great, great,
I use
great,
medical marijuana.
great.
I have complex PTSD,
I'm sure.
like a war vet has.
Sure.
So night terrors and things like that.
Oh,
And
jeez.
so it's something you learn to live with, but you have your ups and downs, you
Of
know.
course.
And I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish that on anybody.
No,
So
you're a caring person. You really
if
are. All the crap you went through, you come out the other side, and that means you care. To sit here and have a conversation to put on the internet, to see what you're seeing from a different perspective of a person who said, "Hey, wait a minute. What's going on, people? You better leave these kids alone."
I mean,
That's
even if you're doing these kind of things like and I use Jeffrey Marsh as an example because everybody knows that one. But
that's
if you're
right.
doing those kind of things, even
Mm,
if you have the best of intentions,
that's right.
you're setting a precedence for somebody to use that against a child.
Oh my God, that's so powerful. I have to tell you that early on, like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I used to say, "Hey kids." I did do that because I'm
Mhm.
Trampal, right? So I'm the
Right.
older, elder trans guy. And then I realized when I started seeing, I'm like, wait a minute, I can't use that language. And I completely stopped saying, "Hey kids," because I realized it does sound like what you're talking about, though it was never my intention. What
But
you're
but
saying.
you but you're not saying, "Hey, I've got something separate over here, and you can come talk to me over
No,
here, and I
no.
won't tell mom and dad." So
Oh,
just
creep. No,
saying,
but it's
"Hey,
still.
kids," I mean, for
I
me, even for me, that's not you don't
I don't know. I didn't like it. I honestly started to feel
yeah.
uncomfortable because of all the other weirdos on the internet. So I'm like, I'm just
I mean,
not.
I can understand
Yeah,
exactly where you're coming from, but
yeah, yeah.
I just see some parallels, even though I'm from a different lane altogether.
Doesn't matter.
I
It doesn't
just
matter.
see some parallels that kind of scare me.
This is not an
And
LGBTQIA poo poo issue. This is an issue of children being put in a
yeah,
position, what you said, and being told that,
make
come over to my house. I'll take care of you. I mean, that happened to you.
and making life altering decisions before they're ready.
That's right. That's right.
Whether it's having a child and having to make the choices that I made,
That's right.
or cutting off your breasts and having to deal with that the rest of
Can
your
you
life,
imagine?
or sterilizing
Oh
yourself
my God.
and having to deal with that the rest of your life.
Oh my God.
Even though they're very different kinds of decisions, they're very life altering.
They're
You
no,
should not be making them until you're an adult.
thank you.
If I had waited to have children later,
Mhm.
maybe I could have done a better job.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. But I know I didn't have a chance at
Wasn't your
14
choice.
of
It wasn't your
knowing
choice. That's
of
right.
knowing how to be a good mother, a good
That's
wife,
right.
a good adult.
That's
I
right.
didn't know how.
That's right. But you're a very loving, caring human being, and that's what you need
Thank
to
you.
know. And
Thank
I
you.
think everyone who will watch this will be hugely appreciated
And
of you. Seriously.
and next time the haters see a white Karen, because I'm not Karen, but a white Karen out there that disagrees with them, it may not be coming from hate. It may be coming from somebody that really
That's
wants to
right.
see happy, productive people come out the other end of childhood,
Thank you.
you
That's such
know?
a great statement.
And they can call me every name in the book. It
That's
won't
right.
take away the fact that I'm a wife, I'm a woman, I'm a mother.
Yeah, and you had a lot of trauma attached to that, that
Yeah.
really comes from your childhood,
Yep.
and that's why you're so a great human, and wow, just the fact that you reached out to me just means everything to me. I'm just
I appreciate the chance to speak to this because
yeah,
you
yeah,
know no there's very there's more people starting to talk about this
100%.
more and more all the
Yep,
time.
yep,
But
yep,
yeah, you don't
agreed.
hear about it in mainstream. You're not hearing
Oh,
about
no, it's so
they
divided.
don't
It's
they don't want to talk about these similarities,
That's
and
right.
they're just staring me in the face.
Oh, no, it's coming though, Karen, it's coming. Trust me.
Yeah,
Just trust me on that. I'm very
yeah,
deep into this and it's coming. And um well, with that, I'm your friend and you ever
yeah.
need anything, you can always reach out to me. And if you ever have any
Thank you so
information you want to
much.
spread out there, and everybody, please leave Karen lots of beautiful, loving messages. She put herself in a very vulnerable space and shared some story that is so, oh, gosh, heavy,
It's
heavy.
it's a lot. I
Mm.
feel like I've lived more than one life.
You
Be-
have. It's
because it started
shocking.
so young.
I know.
My body is paying for the fact that I had
Yep.
children before I was even out of puberty.
Oh
And
my
these
God.
kids are going to pay for things that they're doing to their body
God.
before they're even through puberty.
Powerful. Powerful that you just said that. That's what we need to hear out there. Thank you everybody for watching. Please leave Karen lots of love. And I'll see you all on the next one on the live next week. And thank you again all for joining me. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, all